The Pats fumble, stumble, and bumble their way to a brutal loss at Gillette against the Steelers. It's autopsy time. This is Locked On Patriots.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening? I'm your host, Nick Cattles, born and raised in New England. I've been covering the Patriots for the past 16 years. I'm also co-host of the Greg Bedard Patriots podcast with Nick Cattles and a sports talk show host veteran. On this live post-game with all of you, we'll get to some of the biggest decisions made by the coaching staff in a wild game between the Steelers and the Patriots at Gillette. Also, some of the smaller details that we might overlook after all the big mistakes by the Pats today. But first, let's get to those mistakes and talk about an infuriating loss. We appreciate you joining this live stream and this show, making us your first listen, and for being an everydayer. Locked On Patriots podcast, a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And this episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. Mike Vrabel said quite a ways back when he became the Patriots head coach, there is good football, there is bad football, and there is bleep that gets you beat. The number one reason why the Patriots lost this game against the Steelers today is because they had way too much bleep that gets you beat. Not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 freaking turnovers by the Patriots offense. It was borderline comical the way this football team could not take care of the football. Let's run through the turnovers. Turnover 1 on the very first drive of the game. You got a 3rd and 7, shotgun formation, illegal contact on the defense. You get gifted a first down. Right after that call, 1st and 10, under center, 7-8-yard gain from Rhamondre Stevenson until he fumbles the football. Steelers recover, turnover 1. Turnover 2. The 4th drive, and I think this was the most painful. This had to be the most painful because it's at the end of the half. You have a tremendous drive going. I mean, you're converting 4th downs. You're converting 3rd downs, 90-plus yard drive. You're inside the 3-yard line. And on 3rd and goal, Drake Maye has one of his passes tipped at the line of scrimmage by Cam Hayward. Ends up an interception in the end zone. That's turnover 2. Turnover 3, 5th drive, first drive of the second half. I mean, think about the haymakers the Patriots took here. At the end of the first half, you have a fantastic drive, ends with an interception in the end zone. Then you come out of the locker room. Your defense shows up. Robert Spillane comes up with an interception. Aaron Rodgers inexplicably throws it right to Spillane. You get a huge turnover to start your third quarter, and what do? You give them the football right back, 2nd and 1, under center, handoff to Rhamondre Stevenson, who fumbles the football at the half-yard line. That is a kick in the groin. Turnover 4, 6th drive. So the very next drive. Of course, Rhamondre Stevenson doesn't start this drive because he's now fumbled twice in this game, including once at the half-yard line on the prior drive. So Antonio Gibson is in. 1st and 10, under center. Gibson gets 9 yards. 2nd and 1, under center. Quarterback sneak by Maye. First down, Patriots. 1st and 10, gun run. Gibson fumbles. Pittsburgh recovers. Turnover 5, the 8th drive. 2nd and 4, under center. Henderson, 3 yards. 3rd and about 1.5 yards or so. Under center, 1 yard. 4th and inches. Drake Maye. Nice play action, rollout, scrambles for 7 yards, gets you a first down. Matt Collins gets away with a hold on TJ Watt, which JJ Watt would cry about for the next 10 minutes watching this football game, even though JJ Watt would not cry about any of the other calls that were missed when the Patriots were getting hosed on a couple of occasions. Maybe, just maybe, it's because JJ's brother TJ was the one that was the victim of this penalty that wasn't called. But I digress. Scramble for 7 yards by Drake Maye. 1st and 10, you got momentum. You're moving the football once again. And then Drake Maye runs all over the place forever, scrambling, trying to do way too much, holding the football like a loaf of bread. Gets stripped, fumbles, Turnover number 5. Absolutely, unequivocally inexcusable by any offense. I couldn't care less about our expectations for this football team. You cannot turn the ball over 5 times at home against a team that was incredibly beatable. The only reason why the Steelers win this game is because you gifted them this game. This was somehow tied 14-14 in the fourth quarter, even though you kept giving up the football. The only reason you lose today is because of you. Not because of the Steelers, but because of you. Because you failed to operate at any kind of professional level with the football. A bad operation, an undisciplined operation. I expected more from a Mike Vrabel football team. There's good football, there's bad football, and there's bleep that gets you beat. Way too much bleep that got you beat. You had some back-breaking penalties, and I think some of them were soft. The one that I didn't think was soft was the Alex Austin defensive pass interference in the end zone against Washington. He hugs him. That's going to be a call every time. When you wrap your arms around the receiver, you're going to get called for a penalty. So that was a legitimate penalty. But I thought the hold on Alex Austin, which was a gigantic call because Aaron Rodgers gets strip sacked. He hits the ground. The Steelers would be punting from just about their own end zone. But you get a soft call on Alex Austin on that hold. I hated that call. That was a gift to the Steelers. And then on the very next play, you get the Marcus Jones low block call, which was ridiculous. Marcus Jones was literally trying to tackle the receiver, and he gets this low block personal foul call. So you had some back-breaking penalties. And I thought really a microcosm of this entire game was the final play, offensively. You know, we talked about Mike Vrabel leading into the season. We expected a cleaner operation. We expected this team to take care of the football. We expected them to make sure they knew the details. And on the final play for this offense, it's 4th and about 1.5 yards. Shotgun formation for Drake Maye. Pop Douglas sits right there, catches the football. But guess what? He ran his route just a little bit short. You should go beyond the sticks, if not right at the sticks, a little bit beyond the sticks, just in case you have to come back and catch the football, because this would be the final play of the game for your offense. This is it. This is 4th down. Game's hanging in the balance. But you don't get deep enough on the route. You're just a little bit shy on the route. And then when you catch the ball, you go backwards. Now, I don't know if Pop Douglas would have gotten a first down. I saw people say, well, he would have gotten a first down if he went right up the field. He would have gotten a first down if he, turned to the outside instead of turning to the inside. But this is a lack of execution. A must-have it play. And I know Drake Maye told the media just a few moments ago that, that's on him. That play's on him. He should have told his receivers to get upfield. Yeah, you could help by telling your receivers to get upfield, but your receivers should know to get upfield and get a first down, because it is the end of the game if they don't get that first down. So that final play for the offense was really a microcosm for this entire game. It was a perfect finish to this football game. To complete a pass, but somehow, some way, Pop doesn't get past the sticks, whether he ran the route past the sticks or catch the football, make a move, and get upfield and get beyond the sticks. He fails to do that. Patriots turn it over on downs and lose the football game. But the Patriots did not deserve to win this football game. If you watched today and you thought this team deserved to win the game, I don't know how you feel that. This was a comedy of errors from the offense. From the very first drive to the very final drive. The first drive ends on the Rhamondre Stevenson fumble. And then you have this Pop Douglas play to finish the game out. First drive, last drive, mistakes. Cost you a football game. You should be 2-1 getting ready to host the Panthers next week, but instead you're 1-2 because you had way too much bleep that gets you beat. I know this team's not great, but I expected better execution. I expected the operation to be cleaner. I expected them to take care of the football. But it was a mess. It was a mess. All right, we've got more to talk about. Mike Vrabel made some huge decisions during this game, some that I agreed with, one that I didn't. We'll talk about that and much more Coming up next, this is Locked On Patriots, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right means cashing in. And with football back, PrizePicks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes, all in less than 60 seconds. Playing PrizePicks can actually be the most fun you'll have, staying locked in on the football season. Again, it's quick, it's easy, and honestly, could be awesome. Just awesome on Sundays. Love checking projections like Josh Allen for more or less than 270 passing yards or Saquon Barkley for more or less than 1 rushing touchdown. You can get in on the max discounts like this past weekend with Patrick Mahomes throwing for more than a half a passing yard. It's really that easy and that much fun. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. There were plenty of game-shifting decisions by the Patriots coaches today, and Mike Vrabel led the charge. I have been talking about this for the last few years. If you have followed any of my work outside of Locked On, I've been talking about Patriots coaches not being aggressive enough. Patriots coaches that will not go for it on 4th down, not understanding where the game is in 2025. In 2025, you've got to be aggressive. If you're in plus territory, it's 4th down, you go for it. Sometimes you go for it in your own territory. That's the way the NFL works nowadays. And if you're punting at the 50 when it's 4th and 1, you're playing losing football. I've said this time and again. If you're punting from plus territory, you're definitely playing losing football. And Mike Vrabel has been incredibly aggressive this year. And he is not afraid to go for it on 4th down. And he proved it today time and time and time again. Second quarter, end of the half drive, 4th and inches from your own 15. Patriots are down. And they're at their own 15-yard line. And Vrabel goes for it. Mike Vrabel sends it into Josh McDaniels and says, we're going for it on this 4th and very short, even though it's our own 15-yard line. Pitch play, which, by the way, I don't love. It worked out. Don't love pitch plays on 4th and short, but a pitch play to all people, Rhamondre Stevenson. Pitch play to Rhamondre Stevenson. He gets 8 yards. You move the chains. You should have eventually scored a touchdown at the end of the half or put some points up on the board. But as we know by now, the pick by Drake Maye in the end zone ended up killing that drive. But that was a very gutsy, let's just clean it up for the young people out there. That was a gutsy call by Mike Vrabel to go for it on 4th and short from your own 15-yard line. Third quarter, 7th drive of the game, 4th and inches. Again, Josh McDaniels calls up a play under center for Drake Maye. They fake the jet sweep to, I believe, Pop Douglas. Another pitch play to Travion Henderson. Henderson gets 3 yards. Would have been a 1st down. There was an illegal hands to the face penalty called anyway. So again, Mike Vrabel says, let's go for it on 4th and short, and they convert. Third quarter, same drive. They went for it not once, but twice on 4th down during that 7th drive of the game. 4th and 2. Now, I would have taken the points. I disagreed with Mike Vrabel on this. Even though I love coaches being aggressive, and I think you should be aggressive more times than not, I disagreed with Mike Vrabel on this decision because you just had not one but 2 drives that were inside the 3-yard line, and you failed to get any points. I'm telling you right now, I'm transparent. If I get it wrong, I tell you I got it wrong. And I thought the Patriots should have kicked the field goal. Get some points on the board. Get to 14-10. Take a deep breath. Your defense is playing very well at that point. But Mike Vrabel disagreed. 4th and 2, down 14-7 in the third quarter. Instead of taking the points, he goes for it. He goes for it. Hunter Henry ends up catching a touchdown up the seam for the game-tying touchdown after Andy Borregales, who made both extra points, which was nice to see, ties it up 14-14. So I disagreed with that call by Vrabel. He went for it. It worked. You give the flowers to the head coach. Great job by Vrabel. And then, of course, you had fourth quarter, 4th and inches, play action rollout. Drake Maye scrambled for 7 yards. And then the next play, Maye fumbled. So unfortunately, that 4th down decision and conversion didn't necessarily get you the momentum that you were hoping for. And then you had the final play of the game, which you have to go for it. So the Patriots went for it on 4th down 5 times today. 5 times. And the only time they were stopped was because of the play we just talked about last segment with Pop not necessarily running beyond the sticks or making sure he's right at the sticks or catching it at the sticks and making a move forward or lunging forward. That's the only reason. That's the only reason you didn't go 5 for 5 on 4th down. You should have had a clean sheet on 4th down. But you didn't. It happens. Let's talk about Josh McDaniels because he also had a couple of decisions that made my head spin. I thought he had a couple of really good play calls. First touchdown to Hunter Henry was a fantastic call, play action. You know, you move the pocket just a little bit and you get Hunter Henry wide open. Steelers were thinking run, 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 run. You took advantage of that and you end up with the play action and you hit Henry for a touchdown. That was a very good call. There was a 3rd and long call where you had a pick play with Stephon Diggs that sprung Rhamondre Stevenson open, who caught the ball in the flat. That was a very good play call by Josh McDaniels. But I'll tell you what, the end of the half was atrocious by McDaniels and Mike Vrabel because it's Mike Vrabel's responsibility to make sure that the game is being handled correctly. And I thought Josh McDaniels at the end of that first half, the series of calls that he made inside the 5 were absolutely brutal. Before I get to that, don't forget to hit that thumbs up as you watch us here on YouTube. Help us with the algorithm. Like, throw your comments in. How do you feel about this crazy game? 5 turnovers from the Patriots. They just handed the Steelers the game today at Gillette. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to comment. And don't forget to subscribe. We're trying to get to 7,000 subscribers. There are other Locked On podcasts across the NFL. They have 30,000 subscribers. Let's represent Patriots Nation with this podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get to Josh McDaniels at the end of the first half. This stunk out loud. It infuriated me. I borderline moved furniture in my house at halftime because of the decision-making here. 1st and goal, under center, you get an encroachment call on the Steelers defense, sets up the Patriots at about the 2.5-yard line. 1st and goal, under center. TJ Watt blows by Hunter Henry. Nick Herbig gets a quick pressure. You try the play action fake. It's a throwaway. I get it. Play action fake, 1st down. That was a good call earlier that got you your first touchdown. So I can understand that. But then you've got 2nd and goal, shotgun formation, incomplete pass, more pressure on Drake Maye. 3rd and goal, shotgun formation, ends up an interception in the end zone. The play tipped by Cam Hayward. The Steelers end up creating the turnover, and you get 0 points. This is bad coaching, and this is deplorable play calling. You have the football inside the 3-yard line on a 1st down. You have all 3 timeouts. You just put together an absolutely brilliant drive of 90-plus yards. You've got to finish this thing, baby. And you've got a 1st and goal from inside the 5, all 3 of your timeouts, and you don't call for a single run. That's atrocious. I think it's malpractice from a play calling standpoint. To not try to at least run the football once from inside the 3-yard line is abominable decision-making. Inside the 3 timeouts. Oh, and by the way, your quarterback took a serious hit and his head bounced off the turf on 1st and goal. To not run the ball there was terrible. And I could not believe Josh McDaniels went pass, and 2 of the 3 shotgun formation from inside the 3-yard line. Just absolutely brutal. I will give Zach Core credit. We'll talk about this a little bit more. I thought Zach Core, who was, once again in the spot of Terrell Williams, as Terrell Williams was not calling the plays today, I thought Zach Core called a game that should have resulted in a win. Patriots defense, they got off to a terrible start. First quarter was an abomination. And then the Patriots defense shut down Pittsburgh from the beginning of the second quarter pretty much all the way through to the middle of the fourth quarter, late fourth quarter. So shout out to Zach Core. All right, we have a lot more thoughts on this game, including a defense, as I just mentioned, that stepped up when we all thought they were dead in the water. Talk about that next. As well as some other things that I got to get off my chest as we continue with today's episode of Locked On Patriots, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. In this week's moment that moved the game forward, I'm going with the entire defense. After a dreadful first quarter, they kept forcing 3-and-outs, as well as came up with a big-time Robert Spillane interception of Aaron Rodgers that allowed the Pats to move the game forward, giving them a chance to try to come back and win this one at Gillette. Also, let's give some love to Hunter Henry, who had 2 touchdowns, including the one that tied it up at 14 apiece. Henry tried to keep the game moving forward in a positive direction. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, remember this, Mazda, move and be moved. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however I like to bet. Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. Sitting around with your buddies and keeping up on all the latest is the absolute best on a football Sunday. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. FanDuel's quick, it's easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to your Sundays. So when you look at this offer, man, oh man, bet just $5. New customer, bet just $5, and if that bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to bet across the app. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Brutal loss of a game that should have been a win. The only reason you lose this game is because you have 5 turnovers. You have some back-breaking penalties. You just shot yourself in the foot over and over and over again. And I will say this. We expected up and down from this offensive line, especially the young guys on the left. And we'll get more numbers when we start looking at everything across the board on Monday and in the afternoon on Monday. You get some initial numbers and then the pressure numbers change and all of that. But I will tell you, the early numbers for this offensive line, they're not great. They gave up a lot of pressure today. And we talked about it on the preview on Friday's show, getting ready for this game. The Steelers blitz a lot and they get a lot of pressure. And they got a lot of pressure today. And Jared Wilson, Will Campbell gave up a good amount of pressure. Morgan Moses gave up some pressure with TJ Watt, which is somewhat expected because TJ Watt is so good. But the offensive line had some issues with some pressure looks. And this is a big challenge. They were very good against Miami. They were not as good against the Steelers. I did feel like they got a little bit better as the game went on. I felt like a lot of the pressure, and I'll rewatch the game again as I always do on Monday morning. But it felt to me watching it live that there was more pressure early in the game. So there were some pressure issues there, especially early. Steelers had 5 or 6 sacks in this game. So the Steelers were aggressive. They went after Drake Maye. They created, a lot of turnovers, a handful of turnovers, and they created that pressure on the quarterback, which made life uneasy for him. What also hurt was, again, the running game for the Patriots wasn't very good. And a lot of people will look at the final rushing yards numbers because the Patriots ran for over 100 yards today. But don't forget that Drake Maye had a number of those yards. If you break it down by position, running backs today, they had 22 carries between Rhamondre Stevenson, Travion Henderson, and Antonio Gibson. You had 22 carries for only 74 yards. The Patriots averaged less than 3.5 yards a carry. So the running backs, you had 3 fumbles, 2 from Stevenson, 1 from Gibson. You average less than 3.5 yards per carry from your backs. And this is the second game out of 3 that when you don't get your running backs going, the offense isn't quite the same. Now, I will say the Patriots moved the ball. They had almost 370 total yards today. But I would like to see more from the run game. 3.3 yards per carry is not going to get it done. It's just not going to get it done. You need to be better. You need to be more productive with your backs. And now who knows how Rhamondre Stevenson is going to be handled after his 2 fumbles today. He got another couple of snaps after the second fumble. One of them was on a 3rd down, and I think that's because Mike Vrabel and the coaching staff doesn't necessarily trust TreVeyon Henderson at all times on 3rd down because, again, in this game, TreVeyon Henderson missed a block on a Patrick Queen blitz, and it blew up the play. But how do you divvy it up now? You don't want TreVeyon Henderson being out there a ton. We've talked about it. Less is more with TreVeyon Henderson. And he proved that at Ohio State. When you use him too much, he gets banged up, and he's not the same kind of back. So what do you do now? Gibson gets a fumble as soon as you go to him. But the running backs need to be much, much better. The running backs, I thought, were going to be a strong point of this offense, and they just have not gotten the job done 2 out of the first 3 games. You need more than 3.3 a carry. I will give some love to Hunter Henry, who was pretty good. Now, in pass protection, he missed a couple. He missed a couple of blitzers. He didn't get great chips. He was responsible for one of the sacks. But Hunter Henry had 8 catches for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. He continues to be Mr. Dependable. I was freaking out when he was injured in the 3rd quarter. I'm telling you, the Patriots offense cannot lose Hunter Henry. So as far as a pass receiver, he was the ultimate weapon today. 8 catches, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. Again, your wide receivers were pretty quiet. Kayshon Boutte had a big 3rd down and long conversion with a dig route, which was nice to see. Stephon Diggs had a big conversion as well, but you're not getting a ton of production from your wide receivers right now. Henry's been this offense, and so 8 catches, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns, nice to see from Hunter Henry. The defense. I got to give credit to the defense. I mean, in the first quarter, I tweeted out, and I'm sure many people were feeling this way. You can follow me at Nick C Radio, by the way. I tweeted out, this defense stinks. And in that moment, up until that moment, what we've seen from this defense through this season, they had stunk. But I'll give credit to the defense, and I'll give credit to Mike Vrabel. I'll give credit to Zach Core. They made some adjustments. They took out Christian Ellis. They put in Jack Gibbons. They also played Marte Mapu more on 3rd down today for Ellis. They took Alex Austin out. They put Charles Woods in. So they did make some changes. They didn't sit on their hands and just watch this game. So they made some adjustments. And it feels like it's every week that they get off to a slow start against the run game, but then they get to become a very good run defending team. And that happened again today. That first quarter, Steelers are running the football, and then the Patriots defense shut it down. So I give credit to the defense. They kept the team in the game. 5 turnovers, and, you're looking at a tie game late in the 4th quarter. And that's because the defense continued to force 3 and outs. And then they got the pick from Spillane. I thought Kyrie's Tonga got major push up front. I thought Harold Landry showed up a number of times yet again. So great job by the defense after that first quarter. If the defense was as bad as they were against Miami in this game, this could have been 45-7. But the defense, after a bad first quarter, you don't want to see that, but after that bad first quarter, they got their ish straight, and they played some really good football. And they gave Aaron Rodgers headaches. The Patriots had 369 yards. Pittsburgh only had 203 yards, total yards, just over 200 yards. Patriots were 10 for 18 on 3rd and 4th down. Pittsburgh was 4 for 9 on 3rd down, so less than 50%. Pittsburgh only had 64 rushing yards, and it feels like 40 or 50 of those were in the first quarter. And now the question is, how does this football team respond next week? Hosting Carolina, now 1-2. They need to play better at home. They need to win at home. And by the way, Carolina blew out the Atlanta Falcons today, 30-0. So they're coming into Gillette riding on a high. Rough one. All right, that wraps up this edition of Locked On Patriots. Thank you for making us your first listen, for being an everydayer. Reach out to me on Twitter at NickCRadio. Don't forget to throw a comment in on the YouTube channel. Don't forget to hit that like button. Help us build momentum. And don't forget to subscribe. For your second listen, get a double dose of the Locked On NFL podcast with Tyler the Madman Rowland and Tony Wiggins. Find Locked On NFL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Tough way to lose a football game. We'll see you all tomorrow.